3, 2, 1, and we're live! Hello all, welcome back to the INVICTUS stream! My name, as always, is Mr. Harlan Guthrie, and I am here with the one, the only, the matching shirt, and my best friend, Mr. Justin Thomas James! Represent! How you doing tonight, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good. I got my beer. I'm drinking, it's not Chronicle Brewery, but I got Wellington County Brown Ale. So it is a local brewery, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much, Harlan.
Well, happy to be here too. Tonight we are here with the one and only Parasite.
Parasite.
That's right. Tonight we
Parasite without Paris
or sight. Actually, you could spell it without Paris because it's AS, isn't it? Not
if
IS.
you like switched around the I and the A, and then
you can't spell it without spiral if you add an L and switch the letters. Tonight's game is a horror game.
A horror game.
Well, that too. That's right. Tonight we are diving deep into the dark minds of a few clever creators. That's right. And if you are uncomfortable with any sort of graphic horror or violence, look away, for tonight's game will be 18 plus. I know.
Just tonight's game?
Just tonight's game.
Wow.
Tonight's game is definitely going to be tickling a little bit of a violent, gross little bug in the brain. The what?
Tickling ivories?
That too. But sincerely, if you're uncomfortable with some graphic content, some mature subject matter, then tonight's game might not be right for you. However, it is Spooktober, and we need to ramp this bad boy up as we head towards Halloween, which is next week. Next week. Damn it. And tonight's game is going to be in anticipation of that. So, welcome one and all to the INVICTUS stream. Tonight's game, Parasite 18 plus. If you're uncomfortable with that, that's okay. You can close this video. But before you do, make sure you like the video. In fact, anybody watching right now, make sure you like the video. Whether you're live or you're watching after the fact, I think you should like the video. That's
Do
just
it.
me. Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Thank you. I felt them do it. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Because when you like the video, we get Halloween candy, and we love Halloween candy. Do you have a costume this year, Justin?
I like razor blades in my candy.
Me too, and all the drugs. Do you have a costume for Halloween yet?
I think I might go as Barack Obama.
Nice. That would be good.
That's the costume I do every year. I just put on a suit.
Do you?
I am not a dedicated Halloween person.
Why not?
I like it, I love it, but I mostly just mooch off of other people's horror energy and just put on a suit.
This guy, and that's fair, and that's okay because you do Halloween how you want to do, baby. There's no right or wrong. It's just a night of Spooktober. Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. But yeah, you make sure you like the video right now because that Halloween candy is going to line our paunchy little pockets. And also make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. YouTube is the coolest place ever, said nobody in the last 2 years. But it's where we stream our videos, so like it or whatever. And then we can move to Twitch once it gets boring. Also, make sure you join the Facebook group. The Facebook group is the place to be. It is the place where we hang out, have a chitty chat, talk to all the cool people in our lives, including, but not exclusive to, all of the fans of the INVICTUS stream. That's right, fans. This is where you culminate. Yay. Additionally, we interact very great. That's terrible. We interact.
Sorry. Harlan interacts great. I interact with burps.
No, we interact with the community on a regular basis. So if you like us, for whatever reason, you shouldn't. But then joining the Facebook group is the best place to talk to us. Also, when you're part of the Facebook group, you get a chance to win the most valuable post. The most valuable post is the post of the week that we distinguish amongst the rest, amongst the riffraff, some would say. And we say, hey, you done good. Here's a little snack. And we flick them a few crackers of XP.
Goldfish, if you will.
I love goldfish. And this week's most valuable post goes to the what? The only Ms. Lillian Warner. For her fantastic post sharing the lifestyle app known as, what was it called? Life RPG?
It is called Life RPG.
Yeah, and Justin actually picked this winner. Why don't you tell us a little bit why?
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. I love this idea of having an app that you can basically like set your own quests. And, you know, just injecting your life with a little bit of imagination, and then you beat the quest, like you go and talk to the cute person in the corner, and then, or, you know, like get out of bed, or make your bed, or, you know, put away your dishes, or whatever the quest may be. You do that, you get some XP rewards, you level up. I don't know, it's just like, it adds some imagination. I haven't checked it out yet myself, but I love the concept, and I appreciate you sharing that, Lillian Warner.
Well done. So yeah, there you go, Lillian. You're going to get a little bit of XP that you can spend in game, including tonight, to maybe help or hinder our protagonist of tonight's adventure. Are you wearing a V-neck shirt under that red shirt as well?
It's not V-neck.
Okay.
I don't think it's is it a V-neck?
I don't know.
No.
I just want to know how twinsies we wear.
It is a V-neck if I do this.
Should I can un-V-neck mine.
Please do.
There
we go. Now we're twins.
Well done, Lillian. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter. We are at Invictus Stream. And on Instagram, we are at the Invictus Stream. Instagram is so cool. I wish we took more pictures. We're going to take some pictures this Sunday of our AL game. How excited are you? I'm so excited.
Oh, like a 7 out of 7.
That's 100%. Says my math.
100% excitement. 100%.
That's 100%. Very cool. Yeah, we're doing that in our private time. But we're also doing some other fun stuff coming up. Next Wednesday is Halloween, as I said. So we're going to be doing a super spooky spook-thon that Wednesday. Next Saturday, holy fuck, is the 24-hour live stream.
It's coming up fast!
That's pretty nerve-wracking, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a bit more chill this year. It's just going to be... I'm like tired all the time now, so it's going to be interesting. I'm just going to sleep the day away the day before.
Sleep the day away, da sit in your bed, stay on the floor, sleep the night away. Yeah.
Also, this year, but you know what I have? It's not endurance, it's stubbornness. I'm going to be like, fuck, I can't let anyone be let down. So I'm going to do that. So that'll be fun. And then there's something else coming up. I don't think I'm doing a spooky stream this weekend. Am I? I don't remember. I might do one Saturday night. We got eaten! Guys, we got eaten! Oh
no! Effects. Special effects.
That was good. That's it. I can't top that with any RPG. Let's just end there. But that's right. That's whatever the fuck I was talking about. It doesn't matter anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday night. That means it's the night where we role play. And we've been role playing for 4 years now.
Seconds. Oh,
4
years,
seconds
yes.
now. We've been playing for a long time, which means we're not masters, but we're probably in the expert area.
Intermediate.
What
are the Skyrim ranks? There's novice, journeyman, or novice, apprentice, journeyman,
journey lady,
right? Expert, master. It's the 5.
So there you go. We're probably novice. We've been playing a fair amount. We're good. We do what we want. I don't think I'm spooky streaming this weekend. Actually, I was wrong. I don't remember what I'm doing this weekend, but it's not spooky streaming. So sorry.
Stream.
No, but I'm gonna probably message y'all and say hi. I don't know. I thought there was something else going on that I'm forgetting about. Extra Life, Chronicle Brewery still is awesome. Oh, hey, Breakout is doing signups now for volunteers /DMs and GMs. Justin, I think we should sign up. Joe's doing it. I'm doing it. I think you should sign up too. It's in March.
Great. I agree.
Yeah. I'll send you the link. I think you should run a Blue Rose and maybe something else. I'm probably going to run End of the World, Call of Cthulhu, and probably Don't Walk in Winterwood over Friday and Saturday. So, if you're going to be
Don't walk the winter wood. It's too cold and there's no wood.
So, if you're going to be in the Toronto area March 15th, 16th, and 17th, come on down to Breakout Con. It is a role-playing and board game specific convention. It's actually really cool. A lot of industry guests are pretty nice. We're going to be schmoozing the hell out of it this year. Maybe not. We're probably just going to go and have some fun. So, that's a thing. What else?
Breakout.
You're musical tonight. So unlike Justin.
RPG. Yeah.
Rickaba.
I am feeling. There's a song for everything tonight.
Did you have a good weekend?
Did I have a good weekend? I had a great weekend. Yeah, my sister got married. So
congratulations, sister Justin's sister.
Thank you.
What's her name?
She says
Sachi.
Sachi is her name. Yeah.
In my defense, Sachi, for all you people who would be watching, be like, how the fuck doesn't Harlan know Justin's sister? I met her. I don't think I ever met her actually.
She's my half sister, so like from my dad's previous marriage, and she's a few years older than I am. So
and I know your brother well, so that's a good trade-off. But was it a good wedding?
There you go. Oh, it was a great wedding. Yeah, it was outside. It was in a tent. It was nice and cozy. And there was a dance floor. We had the tent flap open. There were the stars. And
you got to speak to a chef?
Yes, I got to speak to a chef from Google, and she talked to me about umami.
Mm-hmm.
She told me umami jokes.
Umami's so fat. And scene. All right, so I think that's it then. I don't think I have anything else to pontificate on, to meander, to ribble
I'd
around.
like to pontificate on the word pontificate. Pawn. Pawn is a small figure in chess. TIFF.
Chess.
Toronto International Film Festival.
Correct.
TIFF. Occasion, almost like a vacation. So a pawn taking a vacation to the Toronto International Film Festival, which you guys should all do this year. Let's all go.
Which makes me think of, so pawn, and pawn is part of chess. Chess, there's a knight in chess. Knight, day. There's a sun goes over the water is the sea for Catwoman. Catwoman's behind it.
And she's going to be at Breakout Con, so come check out Breakout Con.
That's right.
Because Catwoman cosplay is a thing there.
Batman cosplay is going to be a thing there, because we're just going to walk around being like, I don't know. We should dress up, you and I.
Dress up?
The dynamic duo.
Oh, Ebony and Ivory.
Yeah, Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder. Carly's wearing plaid too.
Everybody's is Megan Dawn wearing plaid? Is that live right now, Miss Dudley?
No, that's Carly.
No, up. If you
I missed
up.
it. All the Canadians are wearing plaid. That's fucking hilarious. Oh my gosh.
So in sync.
That's really funny, actually. Okay. If any other Canadians out there and they're not wearing plaid, they're not really
Are you
Canadians.
really Canadian?
Are you really Canadian? Joe gets a pass because she's at work and wearing scrubs or whatever. I'm saving you this time, but not next time. All right, that's it. Should we just start this? I got nothing else to do.
Hey, you know what? I think that starting this is a great idea. Parasite. Mon ami, ma chérie amour, Paris. Right.
What? That's what you said. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado. Oops. There we go. Without any further ado. Parasite. There is a stillness in the vast abyssal dark of the ocean that echoes throughout the depths. An invasive and limb-numbing terror that clings to the base of your skull and chews away at your mind like a parasite. The water is cold, still, and hides the terrors that lurk in the darkness below. The San Francisco Green Key is a monthly periodical. It has taken an upturn in its popularity due to the more environmentally friendly readers in San Francisco. It's become a bit of a buzz in your city. And you, Richard Yen, are one of its top reporters. Your piece on the effects of oil drilling off the Gulf of Mexico was so received that you've been assigned the biggest piece that the magazine has ever had. An in-depth look at how the Fukushima disaster has affected small villages in Japan. It also doesn't hurt that you speak Japanese fluently. For the past few weeks, you've been in the small town of Junji, a coastal city, to write and research your article. You wake suddenly from a nightmare as the morning sun rises over the trees through your bedroom window. You wake to hear Naoto, the gentleman you're renting the room from, singing loudly downstairs. Gray skies are gonna clear up, put on a happy face. You open your eyes and see the room you've inhabited for these past few weeks. What does it look like?
It's a nice combination of white wallpaper with some sort of bamboo black designs on it, and wooden slats, like a wainscoting going around. And I have a very nice window letting in some sunlight from between the blinds, like a very light linen blind hanging over the window. And I stand up and I walk over and I rub my head that's a little sore, and I open the window and I look out at the view before me.
And before you is a beautiful, picturesque scene. The small Japanese village that you've been in for the past few weeks, despite the labor intensiveness and the frustration that your assignment has provided you at times, has been such a respite from the busy San Francisco streets that you grew up in. You see the clay tops of small Japanese houses, simple people going about their day on the cobblestone streets, carrying meat back and forth on their shoulders, wearing large hats to shield the sun. The greenery in this village is so entwined with the buildings, it feels like you're walking through a forest when you walk through the busiest street of Junji. The busiest street itself only occupied by maybe 5 or 6 buildings, a few manufacturing plants where they age soybeans into soy sauce. And then the waterfront, which lies maybe a full mile away from where you now sit, but you can see that sun rising off the water, reflecting off the waves as they come in. The large, beautiful crescent-shaped beach that sort of inhabits the coast of this town is set on by cliffs, so you can sort of exit the town towards these large bluffs that then go down over rocks towards the large sandy shores. And for a moment, staring at this, you're almost transported away from your assignment.
I'm feeling anxiety as I look at the ocean. And it's not something that I'm consciously think about, but I turn away from the window and I start putting on my jeans. And I'm completely distracted by my thoughts and anxieties.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. You hear Naruto's voice from downstairs sort of echoing through the thin slats that you now walk upon as they creak as you lean on one foot to put on your jean leg and lean on the other foot to put it back on, and his voice sort of cutting through.
I grab my wallet, my phone, I stick it in my pocket, and my room is a little bit messy by my own standards. And there's some clothes on the floor. There's my computer in the corner with a half-finished mug of coffee. And I debate going to sit at my computer for a minute, but then I think, no, he's singing, which means breakfast is almost ready. I should just
and as you sort of pause in the door, you hear, gray skies are going up. And the floor suddenly bumps as it sort of shakes you, and you hear the broom handle that he's used every once in a while to get you up. Doom, 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 just below your feet.
I'm coming.
Oh, right. Sorry, Mr. Yen. And you hear his voice go to gray skies are gonna clear up, repeating the same phrase over and over again because you know he doesn't know the rest of the song.
You're sorry? Ramming a broom handle up against the ceiling means you're sorry? All right. Well, I'm up. And I begin making my way to the bathroom, grab my toothbrush, throw on some toothpaste, and start walking and brushing at the same time. And walking down the stairs in the middle of the... There's like a courtyard. There's like a little internal courtyard inside this house.
Yeah, there's this beautiful little sunlight that streaks through straight down to the square sort of steps going down. At the bottom is a beautifully maintained small bonsai tree that Naoto has carefully pruned over the years. And as you come to the bottom of the steps, you hear him from the kitchen area.
You know, I can pull up those lyrics. I can print them off at the library if you want to sing the rest of the song one day.
And sort of pokes his head out, and Naoto is a small man, wrinkled skin with sort of a kind smile and warm eyes, and his hair is completely grayed but hidden behind the white bandana that he always tends to wear, especially when he's cooking. And he leans out, his thin arms sort of bare, wearing nothing but his apron and what you hope are some shorts underneath it. And he sort of looks at you with a sort of feigned offense, which melts into a warm smile, and he says, "Gray skies are gonna clear up." And he leans back into the kitchen, "Put on a happy face." And you hear him whipping up something.
Yeah. And I walk into the kitchen and I pour myself a cup of tea, which Naoto's already made. I pour it into a little fingerless glass, and I sit down on a pillow with in front of a little table, kneeling as the custom.
Yeah, and he's sort of whipping something in a bowl, and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Yen, you were very loud last night." And he sort of turns around, and he's moving about the kitchen. He says, "Did you have another nightmare?"
Yeah, I think I did.
Well, you need to get a good sleep. And he turns around, and he continues sort of whistling a song. Grabs a bag of tea and then turns around and puts a bowl in front of you and puts a bowl in front of himself as he kneels down across from you and crouches. "Where are you heading off to today? I thought you said you had a meeting in the morning." And he sort of squints over at the clock.
Yeah, I do. I'm meeting with a doctor at the hospital.
How is the article going, by the way? It's been a few weeks now. Have you sent some of your drafts into your magazine? And he's sort of greedily eating breakfast.
Nothing yet. I don't know. I haven't really hit my flow yet. I'm hoping that this visit will change that, because I don't know. It's hard to get in the right, frame of mind here. Yeah, I'm just so used to the hustle and bustle of San Francisco that this place is, I don't know, there's too much space. I can't handle all my thoughts at once.
It's all right. And as you sort of put your hands around the bowl, you realize that it's sort of lukewarm, and you can tell that Naoto's actually waited for you to eat breakfast. And as he eats hungrily, he says, "I'm sure you'll find your stride. You're a good writer. I've read some of your pieces. And I think if you continue searching, you'll find what you're looking for in this small town. And if not, at least you got a good vacation out of it," he says, and belly laughs loudly. And you know that the sort of buildings here are so close together, you can almost hear somebody stand up in the next house and move away from the laughter as it sort of drowns out any sort of nature sounds that might have been in the area.
I smile politely, but secretly I cannot wait to get back to San Francisco, hop on a flight and get away, because I struggle being so close, being able to look out my window and see the ocean. And I take a sip from my bowl and grab some chopsticks and start.
And he sort of nods as you're talking. He says, "I understand. There's a lot of things that we don't understand about the ocean. I myself have lived by the ocean my entire life, but even this one, especially in Junji, I always fear what lies beneath the water." And he sort of says with a vacantness in his eyes that you haven't fully experienced yet, as he almost looks like he's looking through you for a moment.
Are you saying there's a bigger story than Fukushima?
No, nothing like that. And he sort of turns back to his bowl and continues eating as he looks up to the clock. "I thought you said your meeting was at 10 o'clock. And as you look, you realize that it's 9:45 and that the hospital is at least 20 minutes away.
Oh, shit. And I drop the bowl and it wobbles a little bit and spills a bit. And I say, sorry, Naoto, I've got to run. I'd clean up for you. I can clean up in the evening.
And he sort of just laughs. Says, Go. You pay me for room and board, not to be your housekeeper. And he sort of eats. And then as you sort of walk out of the room, he looks over and grabs your bowl and adds it to his and continues eating as you head out the door. And as you do, again, you're welcome to the beautiful sun. You hear birds singing. You hear, the passers-by in the streets, the ring of bells, those who are delivering goods in the morning. You see a young boy carrying large clay pots and delivering them to the house down the way as you turn in the direction of the hospital. How are you going to get there?
Yeah, it's a 20-minute walk, you say?
It's a 20-minute run.
Yeah, no, I'm going to hop on my rental bike.
Perfect.
Yeah,
you brought your bike over with you. You just bought a cheap one here, rather. Probably makes sense.
Just a cheap one. It's a little too small for me. There's a basket and there's like some frills on the handlebars, but it's all fine.
You actually bought it from a neighbor 2 doors down, a young boy who sort of finagled you out of a bit more money than you would have liked to spend on it. And every once in a while he teases you about it. Hiroko is his name.
Hiroko. I didn't mind paying a little bit more for it, but because it's definitely coming in handy now, I think, as I grab it and hop on and begin cycling uphill towards the hospital.
You do, and as you do, you're passing by. The weather is sort of cool in the mornings here in Junji, and it ends up getting pretty hot in the afternoon. And as you're biking, you're taking in the scenery as you do every day, and it's almost impossible for you to enjoy and take in the beautiful small town atmosphere. At times, you almost envy the people who live here, their simple lives. Not in a degrading way, just the way that they can be so motivated and so happy doing the tasks that you find so skilled. You've seen men build houses and spend an afternoon trying to ask them questions about how they work each joint in without having to use nails. And you've worked with some old tea farmers who show you how they dry the teas and how they pick the leaves for the green tea and things like that. And as you're biking up, you're sort of glancing over the rooftops of towns, climbing higher and higher to the hospital, which sort of sits on the highest point of this area. And as you do, your eyes glance back over your shoulder towards the waterfront, towards the ocean. And how do you feel?
Again, the ocean. Lately, it's been. Actually, I struggle to remember when the last time I slept without having a bad dream about the ocean was. But I've been dreaming about it for a long time, and it's never been good. And I naturally, like a magnet with a opposite polarity, I'm repulsed by it. I don't want to go anywhere closer to it. But I stick my head down and I start thinking about what I'm going to ask Dr. Toru Oshikiri when I arrive at the hospital. And I start thinking about past patients. I'm going to have to ask for his patient records, probably have to hand over my police form, my police check. Got to make sure that I get something from the doctor himself, an actual opinion, what he is seeing, and his prognosis of the state. And again, as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about how it connects to the water, because when Fukushima had that disaster, it affected the water, which affected everything else. So to me, as I'm thinking about this, I'm back to thinking about the ocean, and I swerve suddenly as a little old lady is walking on the road, and I almost ran right into her.
Yeah, you cut around sort of a sharp corner next to a big bushy, and she's carrying sort of sacks on either side of sticks over her back. And as you come around the corner, she sort of is like, ah! And she almost spins as you go by. Poor lady.
Aya.
Give me a perception roll. Let's call it a logic roll.
Okay, rolling a d10 here, or d6?
Yes, d6.
Okay. Okay, so I got a 4. So I'm thinking my logic is
pretty high.
Probably a 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll call that a success. So as you're biking up the hillside, you notice a sort of congregation on the beach next to the ocean. You sort of shrug it off for the moment, but you do notice there's a few people there, and it seems to be odd. And after a few minutes, you pull up out front of the hospital. There are busy people going about their days, even here. Again, it's such a small town that people are sort of going about their work. You see people scrubbing the windows outside, and you see people sweeping the steps. And as you walk in, the waiting area is almost vacant. There's no real sign of trauma to have in such a small town. And in fact, when you called the doctor to make the appointment, he sort of said something vague and ominous in the vein of, come whenever you'd like, and you were the one to pick 10 o'clock, which is partially why you feel a bit embarrassed for arriving at 10:02.
Right. And I rush in panting, and I run up to the counter, and in Japanese, I ask where I can find Dr. Oshikiri, is his name?
Oh, all of this is in Japanese.
Oh, right, yes, right.
No, you run to the counter and stand next to a man who has this sort of, he's hunched over a little bit, and you speak to the woman behind the desk, and she sort of smiles at you, and you ask for Dr. Toru Oshikiri. And as you do, the man next to you sort of turns up and he says, "Yes, can I help you?"
Oh, hello. My name's Richard Yen. I'm a reporter from the Green,
No, absolutely. Green Key. I appreciate you wanting to speak with me. Not many people are interested in our small town. What sent you here specifically?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to be going to another town in a few months, but we heard that this location, based on the current movements and the flow of the ocean. I mean, you're south of Fukushima. We figured that there would be certain impacts here more so than other places. So, would we be able to talk somewhere a little less busy?
No, of course. And you look around, and there's maybe one person in the waiting room, an older man who's sort of just looking down, rubs his elbow every once in a while. There's the nurse behind the desk who's ticking away at a computer. The doctor that you're speaking to now, who is just doing some paperwork, and then the TV is on sort of softly in the background. It's not really that busy. There are a few people moving in the halls down the way. And in fact, as you're speaking, you see a man sort of head past you out to the front. And Dr. Oshikiri says, "No, of course, yes, we can speak in my office, or if you'd like, we can take a walk in the garden. It's a lovely morning."
Office sounds good. I'll need to set up. Oh shit! I realized that I completely forgot my laptop in my rush to leave. And,
Is something wrong?
No, everything's fine. I'm just gonna be using my phone today. Office would be best. And my phone is actually getting a little low on juice. Would I be able to? Oh, never mind. I don't have my charger. Okay, yeah. Just your office is okay. We'll maybe walk afterwards.
Of course, no problem. It's all right. Listen, I'll answer any question you want, and in fact, if you're interested, we can document it on my computer and I can send you the file. Look, I want to help in any way, shape I can your paper for getting the answers that they want, and frankly, we're pretty slow up here, as you can tell. And again, he sort of gestures to the empty waiting room. And as he does, you hear a voice from outside. "Holy hell, what is that?" And the nurse from behind the desk sort of sits up, and the doctor, startled as are you, towards the front door. And you see a young boy in sort of a white V-neck shirt, button up, black hair sort of matted to his face, covered in sweat. He runs in, says, Have you seen?" The man in the waiting room who's sort of just been looking down and sort of looks up, and he's rubbing his arm, and the boy runs back out to the front of the hospital, and the doctor looks back at you. "What?"
Sorry. Pardon me. I'm just gonna, and I turn on my phone's video, and I run out following the kid. I say, "Hey, kid, what's going on?"
No, I want to come too. And the nurse actually walks around from the desk, and the three of you, including the old man who sort of slowly stands up, exit through the front. And there's a few people standing out. The person who was washing the windows and the one who was sweeping the drive are there now sort of at the edge of the parking lot, which really has a beautiful view of Junji. And now the sun has sort of rised pretty high. And you see the boy pointing down towards the water. And for a moment you strain your eyes to see. Nothing jumps out that seems overt. You see the people that you had seen before. They're small dots now. And as you continue looking, you hear the woman. "Oh my God." And the doctor then next. "Oh, wow." And then you see it. What at first you think is an odd collection of stones. Again, you haven't been to the beach yet. You've made sure to stay as far away as you can. You realize that the people are congregating around a large, massive object. It lays out almost like a creature. It's washed up on the beach from where you can see, and while a person is only about the size of the head of a needle, or rather, sorry, the like a thumbtack, this is at least 30 times that big and thick, and it lays out like a tentacle lying across the beach. And for a moment, all the color drains from your face. "What do you suppose that is?" the doctor says to the nurse. She says, "I don't know."
And I will myself to bring up the camera, and with shaky hands I focus the lens on it.
And through a sort of low pixelated version zoomed in on your phone, you sort of zoom in slowly and slowly. And inch by inch as you grow, you end up looking at this image through your phone. And what you see is this long, hulking mass, this grotesque, tendril-like creature that is washed up on the shore.
Okay. I say I've got to get a little closer. The other people that are down there, how many are there?
At this point, there's maybe 10, 15 people down at the beach, but as you're holding at your phone, the boy next to you who yelled sort of hops on his bike, and with a ring, he's now biking off frantically towards it.
Yeah. Did he hop on his bike or my bike?
His bike.
Oh, okay.
It seems like he
So
biked up here to let someone know or let the people know.
um, I'm conflicted. I'm definitely conflicted right now. On one hand, I want to go down and investigate this, and on the other hand, like that magnet, I do not. That opposite magnet, I feel physically like I'm unable to move towards it. But it's downhill, and I just get on my bike, hands shaking, phone in my pocket, it's still on record, and I just push myself down the hill toward it.
And as you do, you end up coming from sort of the only person on the road to cars to masses of people. Still navigatable, but as you weave through them heading towards the beach, but it seems like people are all sort of naturally taking to see what this thing is that arrives on the beach. And as you sort of swish between them, you head down a narrow alleyway and you're at the bluffs of the cliff. With each approach to the cliff face, towards the water, your heart beats faster and faster. You have the bluffs that sort of drop down, and eventually you sort of come out onto this beautiful, tall, overgrown, grassy bluff side, and your bike sort of keels to a stop without you ever having to push the pedals, and you let it fall over as you step off.
It's okay. It's okay. It's dead, whatever it is. And now that I'm closer, do I see anything else?
You are maybe a football field's length away from the beach, and with the bluffs, you see everything now. You approach the cliff facing the beach. The calm ocean washes upon the beach far below you as you reach the crest of this sandy hill, and slowly your eyes move down towards the beach, the crowd that's gathered there. And even before you lay eyes on it, your mouth has grown dry. The massive hulking tendon is maybe 30 meters in length. It's hideously grotesque. The top part of it looks to have large, almost barnacle-esque pustules. They look soft and fleshy, and yet the entire thing is a dark, oozy green, almost black. And on its entire body are small, fleshy-like rivets that stick out, almost like limbs that dive back into itself. It sits and grows thin on one end, and the head, these pustules that again sort of emulate barnacles, they have small, spindly little tongues that seem to stick out of them, and yet the entire thing sits unmoving, as maybe 20, 30 now people are approaching it. You also see two men in white lab coats sort of looking at it and making large gestures, but of course you're too far away to hear anything.
I quickly take out my cell phone and I flip it onto me and I say, okay, so what you're going to see is a large appendage, like a creature or limb that's washed up on the shore here in Junji. And okay, well, enough of my face. This is what it looks like. This is Richard Yen from the Green Key, reporting from Junji, and I zoom in on it. I'm gonna go get a closer look, I say, and I turn off the phone. and I start hiking my way down the side of the bluff, my adrenaline kicking in and making it a little easier for me to move as I move towards the two lab coats.
Perfect. And yeah, you sort of navigate your way down through the bluffs. There's sort of a sandy path, and as you work down, you become more and more uneasy. Your stomach begins to turn at the thought of what you are approaching. And as it comes more into view, it seems almost more insane, more incomprehensible than you can have imagined. It sort of has this almost like a mohawk running through the center of it that looks to be like a dark green algae. And its head, if it is its head at all, sits this massive pile of pores and pustules. People are standing awfully close to it as you sort of approach, and the two men are sort of near its head as you make your way down, and you can begin hearing this sort of huss of the crowd. Wow, what is that? And you hear voices talking. My God, I can't believe what creature.
Now, growing up in America, I imagine, was a very different scene for me as far as movies went. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking that these people are way too close to it. Mm. So as I see a young boy reach out to touch it, I start running and I shout, "No! No, stop! Don't!"
And your voice gets carried away by the washing waves and the crowd, which seems to be talking. And you see a boy reach out and sort of touch it, and then his mom grabs him and pulls him back a bit. But the people are still close to it, and there are two scientists that are sort of standing there in a crowd, and everyone seems to be fixated on this creature.
And I run towards the people there and the two lab coats, and I say, what are you doing? Why are you letting them get so close? And they shouldn't be that close. We don't know. It could be dangerous. They
turn around and they say, sir. It's something from the sea. It's a creature, of course, but there's nothing to indicate that it's dangerous.
Of course it could be dangerous. Look at it. That's not like anything that we've ever seen anywhere before.
Where are your law enforcement? And they turn to, and you do see law enforcement there, and they are sort of mixed in with the crowd, and they're kind of like, all right, everybody, and you can see law enforcement are trying to actually keep people back. I mean, there's a few local police officers there, and they are sort of working at keeping a few people back. And as you get down there, the day is now warmed up a little bit, and it's smelling a lot warmer. It's smelling like rotted flesh almost, and you see seagulls flying high above, and it's clear that this thing is dead.
What is it? I say to the men, and I've flipped on the phone, the recorder in my phone.
And he sort of looks at the recorder, looks at you, oh, we have no idea. We just got here. This thing washed up overnight. It looks prehistoric. And you sort of hear them talking amongst themselves. Do you record what they're saying, or?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, you hear them sort of talking back and forth, and they say, oh, it looks prehistoric. It looks like this thing has come from years ago or something like that. Let me think. What else do they say? One of them says that it doesn't look like a whale. One's like, oh, it doesn't look like a whale no matter what. And then you hear one saying, humanity has enough scientific knowledge to fly to the moon, but I guess we still don't know much about what's in the ocean. And you hear someone next to it being like, I heard they thought it was a beached whale. And as you're sort of hearing this, it sort of turns into a conversation. And the people are all sort of working around it. And as you do, you sort of step back, awestruck. And for a moment, you think of your dream, your nightmare, and you're brought back to it. What is your nightmare?
It always starts innocently with me talking to somebody. Sometimes I'm talking to my parents back home. Sometimes I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend in the kitchen or in a coffee shop, or sometimes I'm just talking to someone who I've never met before, maybe an interview for the Green Key or something. But as the interview goes on or the discussion, I start to be unable to breathe. I begin to suffocate. And so I begin to panic, and I run out of wherever I am. I run through the streets, I run through the forest. And eventually I find myself on a beach. It's always a beach, gray sand as far as the eye can see. And the water from the ocean continues to pulse in with jagged waves. And I know the only way that I'm gonna be able to breathe is by going into the water. So slowly I begin to submerge myself deeper and deeper and deeper until my head is covered. And I'm afraid to take a deep breath, but I do, because I haven't been able to breathe at all, and to my surprise, I can. I can breathe underwater. But I'm not alone. And what I thought was just sticking my head under the water, I soon realize I'm miles and miles beneath the sun, refracting off of the surface of the waves, complete darkness around me. And I can breathe. But my heart hurts. My nervous system is completely... It's a complete panic attack, because as I'm under the water, I feel just this overwhelming fear. Even though I can now breathe, I'm here in the water, and something is moving towards me. I spin around to see it. I don't see a thing, but I know it's there. That feeling in a dream when you know that something is there, but even though if you can't see it, I know it's happening. And then is the first glimpse of light. Very small, moving side to side, slowly, almost in a figure eight, as it gets closer and bigger, and closer and bigger. And the light actually begins to soothe me. I feel relaxed as I can finally see in this abyss. I move towards it slowly as it continues its figure eight approach. And I see the light right before me. I can breathe. My nervous system isn't all strung up. But then I hear it. A low, grumbling, gurgling noise that travels and bubbles through the water and into my ears, gives my skin gooseflesh as my hair floats in the anti-gravity of the water. And I start to feel these goosebumps growing, and I look down at my skin as my muscles flex and bulge and pop into these pustules of skin, flesh, rotting bile shoots from these pustules as they explode into the water, and pain erupts through my body as this light goes out. And in the dimness of the dying light, all I can see are 1,000 jagged teeth.
You snap back from your dream and you hear the scientists talking. It comes from sort of almost like a hollow sound to sort of the present, as if you're waking up from a deep dream. Perhaps those Parts emit light like an anglerfish, and they sort of point at the protuberances outside its body. And you hear another one say, "Oh, I suppose what they do." And they're sort of talking, and you hear them say, "Well, it's true. Yeah, a creature with this rare skin, it might have been transparent when it was cleaned, when it was still alive. There are spots around on its skin. It's a little murky, though." And you kind of see them walking around it. And as you do, and as you're breathing heavily, and everyone around you still looking, they all seem fixated on the fish. And as you look, you see a young girl, your age maybe, 28, 29, and she just faints. Doesn't look like anyone else notices. Everyone's sort of pushing through the crowd, and she just falls down back and lies in the hot sun beside you.
Hey, hey! And I run towards her, and I kneel down beside her, and I start lightly smacking her cheeks, saying, "Hey, are you all right? Hello?
Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. And she sort of stands up, and she's like, "Thank you. I'm just..." Oh. And you get a look at her for the first time, sort of just acting on impulse, and she's beautiful. She's a 28, 29-year-old girl, probably from this town. She's wearing a simple sort of collared shirt and a dress, like as if she works in an office. And she sort of gives you a half smile as she looks up to you, sort of through teary eyes, and sort of nods. Thank you. I think I need to sit down. And she sort of begins moving past the crowd back towards the cliff face.
And as she does, I turn and I see a man with a water bottle, and he's about to take a drink, and I snatch it from him. I say, "Sorry, I'll pay you back."
And he goes, "Oh!" And he looks back towards the creature.
And I take it and I run towards where she's going, towards the edge of the bluffs. And I kneel down beside her and I hand her the water. I say, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, thank you. And she takes it, and she sort of stumbles as she sits down on a rock, and the two of you sit down in sort of a little alcove in the cliff face, maybe 50 feet from the back of the forming crowd, which seems to just be getting bigger as the two of you take a respite from the forming crowd. And the sun now, sort of not at noon, but pretty high, close to it, is just heating the beach, and you see the crowd sort of becoming restless as they're looking around at the creature. But for a moment, the two of you are quiet, and in this small, shady alcove in the cliff face, she sort of looks up to you with sad eyes and gives a weak smile. Thank you. I'm so embarrassed.
Are you from around here?
Yeah, I live in Junji. I just, for some reason, when I heard the news, I just couldn't help myself.
Sorry, you have to forgive me. I biked all the way down here, and still catching my breath.
No, it's of course.
Yeah. What do you think it is?
I have no idea. The truth is, it sort of terrifies me. And she sort of looks at it with like a bit of nervous apprehension.
Is that why you fainted?
Oh, I don't know. I'm embarrassed that I fainted. I probably shouldn't have come down here.
Well, I don't think anybody should be down here. Doesn't look like the authorities really care that much. But that thing, it gives me the... You have a word for heebie-jeebies in Japanese?
Yeah, you just said it.
I said that part in English.
And then she goes,
It was the heebie-jeebie part.
Cool. She says, yeah, truth is I don't really like the ocean. And she sort of looks past the grotesque monster on the land, past to the rapid waves, and then sort of nervously looks back at you. Funny for a girl who grew up in a seaside town to hate the ocean.
Tell me about it. I grew up in San Francisco, and I can't stand it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I look away, and as I kind of relive the dream a little bit.
I'm terrified of it. Would it sound silly if I told you that I have nightmares of the water?
No, it wouldn't sound silly at all. God, I have one pretty much every night. Not pretty much every night. Mr.
Sorry,
Nyoto is. I feel bad. I keep on waking him up. Sorry, I'm getting too much into it.
No, I'm oversharing as well too. I don't know. I feel like I can trust you.
Hey. Yeah. Actually, I get that feeling too.
I'm afraid of the ocean because someone I knew was shipwrecked at sea. I wonder if you remember. Are you from around here? You don't look like I don't remember seeing you.
No. I'm from San Francisco.
Oh, right.
In the States. I'm a reporter. Richard Yen.
Oh, Tomio. And she shakes your hand, and she has Tomi Kawakimi. And she sort of shakes your hand with a soft grip, and she sort of smiles shyly as she does. And she then goes back to looking sort of sad and says, "It was about 7 years ago. There was a ferry that brings people from the other island, and it sunk during a storm off the coast, and a lot of people ended up disappearing. I knew someone that was a passenger on the ship. There was no trace of him. He was never found."
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Hard to track people in the ocean.
Yeah. He couldn't be alive anymore, could he? No, it's crazy.
He might.
No.
I mean, you don't know. Have you ever heard of Schrodinger's cat?
No.
So it's this concept that there's a box, and am I doing this right? Inside there is a cat, or there isn't a cat, but we don't know. We don't know if there's a cat inside the box, and so do we? As long as we don't check the box, we don't know whether or not there's a cat in there. So,
and she sort of just laughs at you like in a cute sort of. And she's
I
like,
think I'm getting it wrong.
Mr. Yen, that's funny.
Please, Richard.
And she sort of smiles. I've already given up hope. I think I was. When I heard there was something on the waterfront, I always feel compelled to come look. He was my fiance.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. After all, I met you, Richard.
Yeah.
And as you're talking, there's been an increase in the number of gawkers, and you see the police sort of really trying to keep people back, but people are pushing pretty hard, and that the crowd is getting a bit restless as the two of you sort of turn away from your conversation, and you hear this talking, and you hear a yell, "Hey, there's something inside!" Huh? What? And you hear sort of like a hunt through the crowd. What are you talking about? And the two of you stand up and sort of begin at the back of the crowd and sort of push around. And you hear a voice. I
pull out my phone instinctively.
Yeah, and you try to get a good angle, and Tomi sort of comes with you, and the two of you are sort of near the front end of this massive, grotesque monster, and you see this young man in sort of a white dress shirt next to his friend with rolled up sleeves and a darker shirt. And the young man says, "It's in his stomach. I can see. It's on the other side of the transparent skin. Look." And you see the friend, he's like, yeah, and people are starting to crowd around, and he sort of begins rubbing the skin, and all of this sort of dead flesh, soft, as if he sinks his hand in, you see it sort of sinks in through a layer of like rotted flesh, and he sort of scrapes it away as he turns away. And he cleans his hole as people come around, and as you do, you sort of get up close with your camera. And it's sort of in the side of this creature as you do. And you bring your camera in, looking past people, and someone's head's sort of in the way, and they sort of move. And you're sort of trying to navigate through this as people are pushing and pushing. And as they part, you get a clear shot. And you see 3, maybe 4 faces, humans, inside this stomach of this creature. Their faces are gaunt and lifeless. Their eyes are covered in thick muck. Their cheekbones are sort of protruding, and their hands, you can see their nails long and almost like webbing between the fingers. And you hear the man scream, "It's people!" And the crowd begins calling out, "They're people! Oh my God!" And people start screaming, "There's people in the stomach! How many are there? I see it too over here!" And you see a man farther down, the creature washing them away, and you see these in the fetal position, sort of in the side of this creature. This is terrible. This thing is eating people. And the voices are sort of echoing through. You see the scientists sort of push past you. Based on its location, it must be the intestines. They don't even look digested at all. You see the people, they're sort of skin, sort of pickled flesh almost. You hear a voice yell out, "Hurry! Cut it open!" And the crowd goes nuts. And in an instant, you're being pushed side by side. Tommy grabs your arm and won't let go, and you see a man come out with a large blade and stick it into the side of this creature and draw the blade across the belly as the crowd sort of begins to part back. And it unleashes like a flood of bodies. It pours out of this creature. Immediately the stench fills the air. People are screaming and stepping back, and then silence falls across the crowd as this mass of bodies covered in this sickly, grimy, rotted, fleshy smell pours out. For the moment, the crowd goes silent. They stare down at these bodies covered in this almost white mucus, black, sticky ooze. You see their fingers long and thin. You see their faces gaunt, filled with almost shells. Their eyes look like they've been carved out. Their hair thinning and gone. And yet there's 50, maybe 70 of them. Massive amounts of as this belly continues to split down the creature, and all of these bodies pile out, and you awestruck watching this on film, and everyone's just silent until they move. At first you think maybe something underneath them shifted, maybe the shifting of the bodies kept going, but no. You see movement in the pile of bodies, and then everyone screams, "They're moving! They're alive! They're still alive! Call the ambulances!" You see police whistling as people start backing away from these creatures, and slowly they start crawling as you are looking down through your phone. They look sickly, and as you sort of pull back, you hear Tomi, and she says, "Tadashi-san? Tadashi-san?" And she steps forward. One of the bodies on the outside that's sort of weakly moving, his face turned up towards the two of you. She steps forward, tears dripping down her face. "This is..."
No. I run up behind her and I grab her, get a good firm grip on her shoulders.
And she sort of fights it. She says, "No, this is my fiance. This is Tadashi-san." And she tries to like pull off of you. Give me a dexterity hold.
Dexterity. All right, let's see. What have I got? Oh, I've got 4 dexterity. That's not bad. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. All right, I got a 2.
Perfect. So you succeed at holding her back, and you can see she's sort of fighting it. She's like, no, no, that's... And she looks at you, she said, Richard, that's my fiance. He's alive. Look at him. And you look down, and you see the face of this man. His hair is thinning and matted. He's covered in this sticky ooze. His mouth looks like it's filled with barnacles. His eyes are slits and almost completely white behind it. And yet he's sort of moving softly.
No. I don't think it's him anymore. Tommy, trust me. I think we need to go. If there's any shred of him left, we'll be able to help him at the hospital.
And then, as if on cue, Tadaishi-san and all of the other bodies begin calling out this sickening cry that chills you. And they all continue. And this sea of creatures are making this guttural groan as it echoes out from this pile, and the crowd begins standing back as they all start clawing. You see a few grab the hand of someone who's reaching down to help them and sort of run their teeth over. You see another claw at a leg, a young woman, and they all sort of step back as the police run in blowing whistles. Get back! And the crowd begins sort of dispersing as these things start crawling, but again their bones sort of brittle and soft, their nails so long they can barely make it across the sand. And after a few minutes, as the crowd sort of runs away from all of them and they begin trying to climb forward, you all move back and leave this sort of hulking mass of human sort of writhing in each other all along the shore of the beach. What do you do?
I grab Tommy's hand and I begin running up the bluffs, running towards my bicycle with the basket.
And you sort of force her, and about halfway up she stops, and you see tears are in her eyes, and she turns to you and says, that was my fiance. Yeah. And she looks back down, and the crowd is sort of given a wide berth to these as you see the scientists sort of pouring over, and you see the police sort of keeping people back, and the bodies have barely moved anymore. They're sort of just clawing now at the air as they're all sort of groaning, and you smell the stench in the air as the wind picks up on the beach. And she looks back at you, and she looks back at the things on the beach. She says, what are they? They look like parasites, things that just lived on another creature.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We have another word for them in San Francisco. Can we go?
Yeah, I guess. And she sort of turns away and begins walking into town as the beach begins parting. The next few hours go pretty by the book. You see the beach be cleared. You see people talking about it. You see the wounded tended to, and you see the scientists sort of leaving the shore. As Tommy, did you ask her to stop? Like, did you sort of keep her near you?
Yes. Yeah, I stayed near her. I followed her into town.
So she agreed. So the two of you sort of head into town, the stone streets and the small little shops. And as you get into town, she sort of pulls over the side and begins crying, obviously racked with guilt and pain. And after a moment, she throws her arms around you and sobs into your shoulder. I thought he was dead. And then he, overnight, just comes back like that. And I don't even know what that is. What am I supposed to do, Richard?
Tommy, that isn't him. It may be his body, but the man that you loved is gone. He's watching down on you. And he wants you to be safe and okay. And I can guarantee you he wants you to stay away from that thing, his former body.
Thank you, Richard. And she sort of wipes the tears from her eyes. I think I need to go home and rest. And she sort of walks away from you and then stops after a few steps and says, Richard, you're the first person I've met that I feel safe around. would you come by tomorrow and call on me? Maybe we could go to dinner or something.
Yeah, I would like that. Is your house nearby?
She sort of says, yeah, it's the red one, right before the lane changes by the tree on the hill. And she sort of describes
the tree on the hill. Yeah, I know the one.
And she sort of smiles and wipes away her tears and says, thank you, Richard. And she heads into town. That night, as you relay what happened to Naoto, he sort of sits sternly and nods along, almost in disbelief. The radio that you both listen to speak of what happened after, that the police were rounding up all of the humans that were cut from the belly of that giant monster, and that each of them ended up being very quickly diagnosed to be extremely mentally ill and fragile, that they were each sick, and that many of them died that very night, and that the rest, if not all of them, were expected to die within the next few hours. The unexplained aspect of everything you experienced was only the beginning of the parasites. And we're going to stop there for the mid-game post. Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It's time for the mid-game post. How y'all doing?
Waka 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 whoa whoa whoa.
Waka 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 waka. How you doing, Justin?
Man, that shit creepy.
Ain't that shit fun creepy? This is where it gets kicked into overdrive. Overdrive. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're enjoying this. Tonight is a horror game inspired by the works of Junji Ito, which is a comic artist that Joe and I have been big into as of late. I read a bunch of his stories many years ago, and didn't read any of his long form stuff, and then wanted to, we were reading them back and forth and sharing them, and I was kind of like, a few of these would make really good RPGs. So I used the beginning of one of his stories called The Thing That Drifted Ashore, which I just posted in the chat, as inspiration for the beginning of the story with Minor Things Changed. Do not read that yet. You can enjoy that after the stream, because tonight's game is going in a much different direction. But it's interesting to see some direct quotes from that game. How are you enjoying yourself, Justin? You having fun so far?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. It feels good to, it's interesting. So we've been thinking about tents and playing in first person or playing in third person. And so I'm being conscious about playing in first person this time. Someone actually made a comment on one of our YouTube videos, and I thought about it, and I think we did actually do it a lot more before, playing in first person, and I think it works either way. Like, I like both ways, but I didn't even realize that we'd made the switch. So now I'm consciously being like, okay, I'm gonna try first person tonight and see how that goes. So yeah,
but you're doing a great job at it. I think it's fantastic. I always like the first person narrative.
I feel like it's more, I feel more connected to the fear and the immediateness of the situation.
Like a good horror. Like a good horror, first person's there.
Ba-doom.
I agree, because even in video games, first person is always more terrifying.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Hey, I gotta get you over here soon, Harlan, to try out my new composing software.
Yeah, we gotta do some mystery.
So many good sounds.
Music. Yeah, let's do it soon. Let's do it Monday.
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, Monday will work. I've got a meeting, but definitely can make it work.
I also just bought a PlayStation 4, so I might be playing Red Dead Redemption.
That's fair too. Fair too. RDD2.
I know, I'm pretty excited.
RDR2.
I didn't really prescribe to any of the information up until I decided to get it, and now I've been like, for the past 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
She was not the one who saw them first. Fucking hell.
Who's the one who saw them first?
Joe, full of shit. I try to include. I saw them years ago. I saw that Enigma Fault one with the Why is that a focus? And then she saw a podcast and then started being like, "Hey, have you heard of this Junji Ito?" And I was like, "I don't know who that is." And then she was like, "He does his comics," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I know that comic. I just didn't know the guy's name." So bullshit. God, constantly getting Joe into these cool things, and then she thinks that they're her ideas.
This is a good time for me to go get another drink.
Yeah, while I complain some more.
Arguing until that?
Well, on another thing. What should the mid-game post be? Let me think. Obviously now I named the artist, so that doesn't really work. I could pick the name of the characters from something. Maybe we should do that. Maybe the name of the doctor, if anyone remembers that, or the name of the girl. How about the first name of the girl who is talking to Richard right now? So, what is the girl's first name? First name. There, posted in the mid-game post below. And Zia's already posted something. Speaking of Ignorant Farmer, break my final beer. Oh yeah, Chris won the 4-pack. Was it 4-pack or 6-pack? 4-pack. So you've kept it that long? Congrats. Hey, speaking of, I should have a piece of candy. I earned it. But I'm gonna take a piece of candy out and eat it. I'm gonna take two. I want nerds, but I want something chocolate. I'm gonna take 2 pieces out. But putting the bowl back. That way I'm not just sitting here eating a whole bowl of candy like a good little boy. See? This is about restrictions. I had a can of tuna for dinner. Healthy tuna. I'm making chili. Not healthy chili. Cheap chili. Low cost chili. Ground beef, tomato, onion, garlic, tomato sauce. I already said tomato. Game Master and Joe Fallak. Oh, Justin's spooky. Look at that. That's really spooky. Oh. Spooky boy. Cute. That was spooky. That reminds me, Carly had a great post. Was it Carly? About the spooky... No, it wasn't Carly. Was it Brianna?
About what spooky games? I thought it was... Maybe it was Carly. Or
no.
Megan.
It might have been Megan. Megan or Brianna, I think. I don't know, but it was really funny to be like... It was making me think of all the spooky games we had. And I think one of the spookiest was your Running Dead, where you played that like freaky fucking clown. Remember?
Oh right.
You're hey. I don't know. Yeah. It was really scary. Yeah. I don't remember what game that was. I think that was the one I was playing the Russian guy.
You were the Russian guy, yeah, and Michael was the hippie. Right? And there was that maintenance guy at the end that killed you guys with chainsaws.
Yeah, that's right.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Oh, it was Brianna. I thought so. I knew it was it. Carly commented and she said, "Oh, great. I'm just watching these and it's good for me to know." That's why I thought Carly. But it was Brianna. You're right. Thank you, Brianna. So many awesome people. I get them mixed up. You talk for a second. I want to eat these nerds.
Okay, so I'm stoked about the composing stuff. I'm so excited about it. So it's East West Studios. I don't know if anybody here does any audio stuff, but East West Studios has like an entire symphonic suite that you can download, and that's like $250 or whatever for this entire suite. But now they have a like subscription model like Adobe has. So you can pay like $20 a month and you get access to not just their symphonic suite, but every fucking thing. So they've got all of their libraries. They've got some like really good horror like catered libraries of just like purely horror sounds and suspense and like different distortions and oh man, it sounds so good. And so I've just been like I've got a free trial right now and I've just been downloading them one by one. It's like I've downloaded probably half a terabyte so far of all of these fucking plugins. And there's just so much available that we'll be able to make some good music.
I'm so excited. With my spooky brain and your talent, we'll be able to make some good stuff. With your talent and me being there, that should be good.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. It'll be a good collab. Like, what do we got? Okay, so I've downloaded so far. One is called Goliath, which is like action movies, like big booming sounds, crazy drums. I've got one called Ghost Rider. And Ghost Rider is like kind of like a film noir, but also like horror kind of themed thing. Twisted Textures. Fuck, man. I can't wait to show you this shit.
I'm really excited. I'm thinking we should do it. Maybe Tuesday's your birthday.
Yep.
And then Wednesday's Halloween.
Yeah. Could do like Thursday.
Yeah, maybe Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I have Hen, but Hen can come over and just play.
100%. Totally.
Maybe.
Yeah, if you want to bring some toys.
Yeah. I mean, we'll just chase him around, but we can compose and watch a baby.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, like we can even be loud in the background because it's all MIDI recording, right?
That's true. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Very cool. Dope. All right. Well, let's see. Questions. What was the girl's first name? Tomo, Tomiko, Tomi. Tomi, Tomi. Tomio and Juliet? Tomi. This is cute. Bjorn said, I think it's Tomi because I kept thinking how close it was to Tomi, which is another spooky Japanese movie series. The spooky Japanese movie series is based on a graphic novel by Junji Ito because I took the name from Junji Ito. Like all of it's from him. So it's not an accident. So I'm going to say not Tomo, not Tomiko. I'm going to say starting with Bjorn. We got Bjorn, Colin, John. Chris said Tomo. So that's not right. Megan said Tomi. So I'm going to say 4. I'm just going to say it's a 1d4. Ba-da-da-ba-da-ba-da. 2. That brings us to Bjorn, and it's Colin Burkhart. Colin Burkhart.
Hey, who you calling?
Ha ha ha. Who you calling, Burkhart? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Is that bullying? Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's bullying. If he doesn't like it.
Well,
you tell us if you don't like that, Colin will know whether or not it's bullying. We won't stop, but we'll know that.
Yeah, we won't stop, but we'll know at least that we're guilty.
Yeah.
Dope. All right. Are you? Are we ready to do this?
O-E-I-O-E-I. Yes.
What's that alien song from? Yup, yup, me. No, it's like yup, yup, me. Yup, yup, you. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
I thought you were talking about like the boo 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 boo.
No, what's that?
Anybody recognize that?
Satan's
Bonus
calling card?
MGP. Boo boo boo. Boo boo. It's an
Is
alien
that
movie.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Yeah, buddy.
I've never actually seen it. That was
Me neither. I've never seen it either.
Good, then I'm not really know.
I
What's
just
this
know it from the fucking Men in Black trailer, or the Men in Black credits before the VHS played.
Cute. What about this one? See if you know this one. Do 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 do. Do you remember where that's from?
No, I don't.
Do 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 do. It's normally whistled.
Oh. Is it Hannah?
And I will give an XP to anyone who knows that song. First person to know that, what movie that's from. Johnny got it. It's Gremlins.
Gremlins. Oh, nicely done.
And then he corrected himself to put a capital G. Yeah, that's the song that Gizmo sings. He's like, does that
yes.
sound? It's so cute.
It is cute. It is cute. They're remaking Leprechaun, eh? They're doing a new reboot.
They should, because Leprechaun's not scary.
No.
Leprechaun is a movie.
I thought it's scary. I thought it was scary when I was
I thought it was. I never saw it, but I thought it was scary. I remember seeing the picture. I was speaking about this concept, and I'm sure I've mentioned it on Spooky Streams because I talk about everything. But I was talking about it to Joe the other day, where like the idea of something is often a lot more terrifying than the actual follow through. And I was using this to sort of talk about other things, but when it come to horror movies, when I grew up, there was a Jumbo Video near us. Do you remember Jumbo Video?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Remember where it used to the popcorn? You probably went to the same one I did because we grew up right near it next to it.
Yeah.
So you know that Jumbo Video used to be up by Gino's Pizza? Do you remember that one?
Was there one in there?
Yeah, Oklahoma Plaza.
Oh, like where the TD is now, right?
Yes, which I think is probably closed now. But anyway, there used to be a Jumbo Video in there, or it might have been Video 99, but I'm pretty sure it was a Jumbo Video. And they always had the popcorn you could scoop. Anyway, there was this horror section, and I remember being very, very frightened of it. This was back when Harlan did not like horror. It was sort of like behind like a blanket almost, and it was not the XXX section, it was horror, because they had like mannequins back there and shit. And I remember being so terrified. But the things that were really scary weren't the movies themselves, but the posters. The people who made horror movie posters in the 80s and 90s were just on the top of their game. Nightmare on Elm Street is like, you know, the claw on like something or whatever the fuck. And I remember
around the door, right?
Maybe, yeah, it was terrifying. Well, I also remember the Leprechaun poster because it was him, the Leprechaun, standing in like around the door. He was like leaning around. It's like an open door and the light's like shining in, and it just says like Leprechaun. And I remember seeing that poster and being like, holy fuck. This is terrifying. Like this, I will never see this movie in a million years because it is so scary. I remember having nightmares about him like chopping off the ends of my feet.
Oh my god! And you didn't even see the movie.
And I never saw the movie.
That's crazy. I discovered that movie through rental places, and we actually rented Leprechaun 3. My brother and I would get to choose like a movie. I think my brother picked like, I don't know, some Will Smith movie. And I picked Leprechaun 3 for some reason. I always picked like horror movies. And so I never saw 1 or 2, but I saw 3. And it kind of fucked me up for a very particular magic trick. The one like where you like saw somebody in half. Mm-hmm. The magician's doing his thing, and then the trick backfires, and the leprechaun, takes over, and the guy, like the magician, like gets in and thinks like it's gonna be fine, but then the leprechaun takes the chainsaw and just like starts cutting away, and then like the guy's like screaming and like spitting up blood, and the audience is like, wow, yeah, and then he opens the side as they always do, and like just like guts fall out.
Oh my god!
And that kind of messed me up for every time I see that trick now, I think of that and I'm just like, oh no.
That sucks.
It's gonna happen.
Have you seen it since?
No, I haven't.
You know what we should do, you and I? We should watch a horror. Because here's the end of like the whole thing with me was that I ended up watching Leprechaun and it's stupid and it ruined the poster for me. It's not scary. I was like, oh my god. But it's funny you should say that because when I was a kid on Halloween night, my parents rented some spooky movies and it was Return of the Living Dead Part 2. Okay. And I remember being so afraid. I remember this one scene where this girl's boyfriend was a zombie, and she was like, I guess you can bite me, and he was like, thank you, and he like bit her brains. And I remember being like, oh, like so scared, and I didn't watch it for like 20 years. And I remember just being like, yeah, that's the fucking poster. Dustin found it. I just remember being so scared about that poster. Because look at him, he's fucking freaky looking. Anyway, I ended up being really, really scared by it, and I was terrified. I never watched it until like 3 years ago, and I was like, I found it on VHS, Return of the Living Dead Part 2 or Volume 2 or whatever. Oh, sorry, on DVD. I was like, I should watch this again, and it's terrible. It's not even scary. It's like the acting is bad. It's like so bad. I remember being like, how the fuck was I scared of this? It's terrible. So we should watch Leprechaun 3 together and then watch this terrible movie together and get over our fears together.
That sounds good. I did that actually recently. A few years ago, I did that with Eric, actually, because I was always afraid of Pumpkinhead, because that was another movie that I rented and I couldn't actually get through.
Eric or your cousin?
No, Eric.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was on Netflix one year. And also Tremors. Tremors scared the fuck out of me.
Oh, but Tremors is such a good movie.
I'll have to watch that again. That's with, isn't like
Kevin Bacon.
Arquette in that?
Who?
Oh, Kevin Bacon's in it. What's his name? Arquette.
No, you're thinking of Eight-Legged Freaks.
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
That's a good movie, too. I should watch that again. Anyway, yeah, so we should watch the old spooky movies. And you know what? I mean,
100%.
God, Halloween's coming up so fast. I gotta watch more.
Maybe Tuesday. Maybe on my birthday.
That would be kind of perfect timing, right? That would be perfect timing. Put the baby to bed, have some fancy dinner, and then watch a spooky movie. Maybe a good spooky movie, though, because if we're going to do a spooky movie. Joe gave me free reign of one spooky movie, too, because she's coming over Friday night, or Saturday night. She was like, we can watch a spooky movie. And it's like, awesome! Something terrifying.
What is terrifying?
Cute. I don't know.
All right, well, I think that's probably good for mid-game post. I think we covered all the topics in that half hour. 20 minutes.
Chris said a really sweet thing that I want to read out because it's about me. And she said, I do have to say that playing chapters of The Undefeated with Harlan's Graham is just such a fun experience. Can't be replaced. Aww. That was very sweet.
It's true. It's true. It can't be replaced. I've done it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that was sweet. You've done it.
Yeah,
you have done it. You did. Mm-hmm. You do that. Well, you know, if you want a chance to play, I mean, we could always organize another one for Toronto. Play alongside
100%.
our...
That'd be great. Toronto's not that far from the States.
It's not.
You can come.
With Quintus, Graham, and Leah. Run by Leah. Maybe I'll convince Tados to get off his fucking lazy ass.
Get off your lazy ass, Tados. Let's go do some adventuring.
Get off your lazy...
New people.
Get off
like
your lazy
it's no
ass,
far.
Tados. You need to do better, you fucking asshole.
You're doing all right. I wouldn't go as far as Graham is, actually. I would say that you're doing all right, but I would say maybe a little more killing, a bit more adventuring, and that would be preferable to me, and definitely Graham as well.
Get off your lazy ass. I don't remember Graham's accent right now.
That's pretty much it.
Is it?
Kind of like a Sean Connery. Get off your lazy ass.
Get off your lazy ass, you fucking asshole. There's nothing wrong with being Graham Connery. Okay, let's do this.
Let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we return to Parasites. You're deep underwater in the black. The abyssal darkness surrounds you. You feel your muscles aching. The cold water seeping in and around you. You can feel it entering your mouth, entering your nose, entering your ears, consuming you. You feel dread in the pit of your stomach. And in the distance, a light, a dim light. It grows brighter and brighter. And for a moment while having experienced this numerous times, you feel comforted, just as you always do, as the light grows brighter and brighter as it moves towards you. But this time, rather than just one light, more turn on. And instead of the 1,000 teeth that appear when the light fades, you see the monstrous creature from the beach moving towards you slowly. It sways back and forth as your eyes sit wide and white in the water, your muscles burning with every movement of your hands, trying to keep yourself afloat. The endless black beneath you, the endless black above you. And it comes closer and closer and then veers off to the side. Its sides all covered in light. And as it surrounds you, you turn and look inside its transparent flesh, and inside you see the bodies. You see all of them looking out at you and the untold horrors that sit miles beneath the surface, deep within the ocean. And as it circles you, you see amongst the pustules and barnacles that cover its face an opening slides open, revealing a set of tight white teeth. And as it comes back around and opens its gaping maw towards you, you see the others inside its bellies, their eyes white, them screaming as it begins to devour you just as your muscles burst. The pustules again filling your own skin and flesh. Like cankerous sores, you tear at them with your nails, but your nails come off as well as you scream in the dark, the last bit of air leaving your lungs, and you wake up. You look to the window in the room above Naoto. However, the sun doesn't cut through today. It seems to be overcast. You look back at your pillow, and it's bathed in sweat. Your sheets torn off and sort of strewn about, piled on the floor next to you. The room is dim and feels cold, and you don't hear a singing voice downstairs.
I push myself out of bed, and I go to stand up, but I sit back down on the bed. I mumble to myself. I didn't get much sleep at all. I slowly push myself up, and with my eyes closed, I stumble over to the window, stumbling over my jeans that are left in the middle of the floor. And I open the blinds. With bloodshot eyes, I look out.
And the scene that brought you so much peace yesterday fills you with uneasiness. You see the cloudy sky hiding the sun behind it. The gray, overcast day doesn't really give you a sense of any sort of life. And as you look about the street, your eyes darting the cobblestone paved ways, the trees sit unmoving in the still air, and the streets seem vacant. You hear the clattering of shoes down the way just a little bit every once in a while. You hear the ring of a bicycle in the distance, but your eyes don't meet any people.
I actually beat Naoto up one day. And I go to my computer, and I press the on button, and I look at the side, and I see that the plug it's unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
And the computer is dead. So I plug it in and forget about it, and
actually, as you
downstairs.
reach down, you sort of look around your room, and you reach down and go to grab the controller. And as you sit back up and plug it back in, there's a woman standing in your doorway.
Oh, hi. Are you are you here to see Mr. Nyoto? Sorry, I can't really make it out. One second. And I walk over to the bedside table and I grab my glasses and I put them back on.
And you see a young or an older woman, the boy that you bought the bicycle from, Hiroko. It seems like she seems familiar. I think you think that maybe that was his mother. And she's staring down at her feet.
Hey, you're Hiroko's mom, right? Yeah, let your son know that I really I've been using the bike, so even though he gypped me however much he did, worked out for me. So it's fine. He's a good kid.
And she doesn't stir. She continues staring at her feet.
Do you want me to show you to Mr. You want me to show you to Nyoto? He should be downstairs. Are you okay?
Slowly, her head turns towards you. And she has the biggest smile plastered on her face.
You look okay. I haven't had my morning tea yet, so I'm not ready to smile like that. But you look like you have.
And she vomits on your floor. This wet, sticky, sort of pinkish vomit just piles out of her mouth. And quickly she looks back up, the vomit still dripping from her chin. And she laughs. And exits your room. And you can hear her walking down the stairs.
She leaves.
Yeah.
Hey, and I avoid the puddle as I quickly throw on my jeans. I'm still in my boxers and try to catch up with her. I say, "Hey, wait a second. You're sick." And I run out.
Just as you see her sort of walking down the stairs in the little alleyway, or in the little alcove, the once bright sun that shone through this area, again, now the whole hallway sits gray and dim, and she almost moves out of it quickly as you head down the stairs after her.
Hello?
And as you follow down, you hear the whistling. Sort of this rapid bubbling coming from the kitchen. And she walks right out the open door to the cobblestone street. And you see her from the bottom of the steps. She sort of stops and looks sideways, looks back, and she scratches the back of her head really hard. And then walks off.
What the hell? Nyoto? Nyoto?
You just hear sort of a soft whistling from the kitchen.
You finally decide to learn the rest of the song? And you're studying right now? I say as I slowly make my way into the kitchen.
And as you do, you see a billowing steam coming off the stovetop, where the kettle that he boils is just boiling over. It sits on high on the actual stove.
And in the few weeks that I've been here, he's never done that.
No.
And I run over to the stove and I quickly blow out the flame underneath the element, and or the flame underneath the burner. And as the kettle subsides, I look around the kitchen. Do I see anything, any sign of where he might be, or what his morning routine might have looked like?
You see the open pot with some tea leaves in it. You see the 2 glasses that he keeps out. You see the wok that he has typically out in the morning, and as you sort of lift the kettle off the element, it's lighter, as if most of the water has boiled off of it.
Okay, Nyoto. Could have burned the house down. Nyoto, I say, and I start making my way down the hall toward his room with the kettle in hand. Hey, there was a lady here to see you. She was, it was, Hiroku's mom.
And you come to his door, which is sort of slid shut.
I go to knock on it and I stop myself as I remember it's like a paper door. And
Oh.
I just say his name again. Nyoto.
And you don't hear anything.
I'm starting to worry a bit now. I slowly open the door, and my mind is back on the lady in the room and how she just barfed all over my floor. And I'm feeling very unsettled as I slide the paper wooden door open.
And as you do, you reveal a made bed in a dim room.
Okay. And I start looking for a note. Note in the kitchen, note on the dining room table, or in the dining room sitting, eating area.
Nothing.
Anything written anywhere?
No. And as you're walking around the house, you hear someone run by the open door to the house. Just a...
And I turn my head to the sound inquisitively, and I, with a concerned look, begin, or feeling concern actually, I begin walking towards it. I stick my head out the door and I look both ways. Do I see anybody?
You don't see any people at the street. You do see sort of like a spinning bicycle tire and a bike ditched to the right of the door. But this small sort of alleyway seems pretty empty right now.
Well, I know what I need to do. And it doesn't take me long to find a bucket and mop. And I'm upstairs with the bucket on the ground and the puddle in front of me. I'm looking down at this puddle of vomit. And I'm thinking about Nyoto saying, you know, I charge you for rent, not to clean up after you. And as I stare down at this pink puddle, and as I'm about to scrub it, it occurs to me to look at it. This disgusting thought that maybe I should look at what's in it before I mop it up. And so I get down to one knee and I look at it. What do I see?
In the dull gray morning light, you get down on your hands and knees and sort of investigate this pinkish, dark, almost creamy puddle with chunks in it. And you sort of look around, and with a chopstick you sort of move some of the chunks, and in it you see pieces of rice and all chewed, and you see some green bits in there. And for a second you are about to turn away, and then you see something moving. And you squint your eyes in the dim light, and you realize that it's not just one thing, but hundreds of tiny white little worms, all writhing and turning and moving in the vomit, all in the puddle.
And I push myself back, recoil to the balcony as I dry heave. I don't have anything in my stomach. I wipe the spittle from my mouth.
And as you sit up from you see Hiroko, the young boy, staring up at you, his face white, and he's smiling.
Your mom's sick, buddy.
And he turns around and runs into a set of trees out of sight.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And I stand up and I recoil away from the puddle, and I back my way along the balcony until I get to the stairs. And I go down, and it's only until I reach the bottom of the stairs that I realize I'm white knuckling the mop handle. But I don't put it down. I decide to hold on to it as I continue out into the street. And I look towards the bicycle, and the wheel is slowly coming to a stop. And then it's just the sound of the wind as I look both ways down the street.
Mm-hmm. And as you look to the right, you see a young boy carrying clay pots around the corner. And he's sort of walking with them, sort of balancing them, and he's sort of looking around nervously, and he looks at you and sort of nods and continues walking by.
Hey, you seen anything weird this morning?
And he sort of just looks at you and says, No, sir.
You sure? It's been a weird one for me.
And
where are you going?
Looks down. Just delivering these pots, sir.
All right. Let's go together. You haven't happened to see an old man, you might know him actually, Nyoto?
Nyoto? No, sir.
Okay, well, I'm going to come with you, and I'm going to bring my mop, just in case there's a puddle to clean. Shall we?
Okay. And you can tell he's sort of confused. And you've come to know Japanese culture pretty well, and they're very, shy and very keep about their own business type people, very quiet and methodical workers. And he sort of feels odd about this, but he continues on with you and eventually stops at a house and sort of knocks on the door and looks weirdly at you.
So those nice pots.
Mm-hmm. Shinto clay. And he sort of knocks and there's no real answer.
Well, so you haven't seen anything weird?
No, not really. I mean, a few boys from school seemed a bit, but they always tease me. And he sort of bends down and puts the pots down, and he pulls out a slip of paper and writes and slides it under the door and leaves the pot. I tried to deliver this for 3 days, and Mr. Katasi said not to come back if I couldn't deliver it, so hopefully no one takes it. And he sort of puts the pot down and stands back and says, Well, good day, sir. And he turns back around and begins walking back the way he came.
Hey, there's something you should know. There's some people around who are sick, all right? People who are smiling. Don't let them come near you. Just be careful.
Oh, okay. And he sort of nods to you.
You'll know what I mean when you see it.
And he sort of nods and begins walking back down the way.
And I'm at a part of town where I look up and I see a tree on a hill, a red house.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it convenient that I'm here. And mop in hand, I begin making my way up the hill.
Perfect. And yeah, it's a short walkway up these beautiful old stone steps towards this, one of the nicest houses in this part of town, and it overlooks sort of the area that you came from. It overlooks the bluffs and the beaches, and it's on the way up to the hospital. And in the front, there's a small little wooden gate that was once painted white that you sort of carefully open and shut behind you, and the garden is overgrown in a beautiful way. It was almost immaculately presented to be overgrown, but purposefully so. The plump tomatoes have been recently plucked, and the flowers sit sort of taller than they should be for this time of year. And as you move past a small bench inlaid in the garden and you come up to the sort of vines that hang over the doorway, you see a light on.
Hello? Hello, Tommy?
And after a few moments, you hear someone walking down the steps, and the front door opens, and you see Tommy there. Oh, Richard, you came.
Yeah. Listen, can I come in? I've had a really weird morning.
And she sort of turns back around. She says, I'm not too sure. My father isn't feeling too well. It might not be so good to be out today.
Whoa! What do you mean not feeling too well? What are his symptoms?
I'm not sure. He must have a stomach bug. He's vomited a few times.
Did you look at the vomit?
No, God no. Richard, why are you acting so strangely?
I told you it was a weird morning. Listen, if your father's sick, I can help. But I'd love to come in. I know it's a little forward of me.
And as you're standing in the doorway, you hear laughing from inside the house. He keeps making this bizarre laughter as well, as if something's funny. He was at the beach with us the other day, too.
What?
Well, he was at the beach. I have no idea why he's come back. Maybe all that rotting scent in the air turned his stomach.
Okay. Well, please, can I come in, Tommy? There's something we need to talk about.
And she sort of begrudgingly invites you in. Okay, but be quiet.
Okay.
And she shuts the door behind you, and you can hear this laughing from the side room.
So, your father, I say this to her, and does she show me into the side room?
Yeah, you're sort of in the front hall.
Okay. I had a weird morning, as I said. I saw, the little boy that sold me the bicycle. What's his name again? Hiroki? Anyway, his mom was standing in my bedroom door this morning. His mother.
And she says, I'm not sure what you mean, Richard. What does that have to do with my father? And again, his laughter sort of bellows from the other room.
Yeah. I thought she was at the place to see Naoto. But she was just standing there looking at me, smiling and laughing. And then she vomited all over the floor, right in front of me.
Father was sick this morning too. Maybe there's a bug going around. Richard, I'm not sure what this has to do with anything. And as you're talking, the back room door slides open, and standing before you is a thin, old man with sort of gray hair, and he's wearing sort of just his underwear. And he says, Tommy. And he looks at the two of you, and for a second she's like, oh, Father. And you look and you see his face is gaunt and thin, and he's got a smile plastered on his face. But you see his body is covered in certain areas around his armpit and the pit of his neck have these almost pustules, these sort of protrusions that almost look hard, as if they're like the things, like the mollusks on the top of that creature. And they sort of have little tongues licking out of them, just tiny little things that are moving in the dim light. And he keels over and vomits on the floor. And the pink vomit sort of flats to the floor and splashes over the room as he takes a step forward, stepping in the vomit. And you see the white little worms writhe around his foot as he sort of smiles at the two of you.
And I wield the mop And I hold it down and I say, Tommy, get your shoes. Get your shoes.
And she says, what do you
Just
mean?
get your shoes. We're leaving.
And she
We
runs
need
to the
to go.
door
Your
and
father's
slips
sick and it's
on
contagious.
she slips on her shoes and opens the front door, and he sort of lurches towards you, laughing and scratching the back of his head frantically as he does. And again, you see these mollusk type, these what did I call them? The other thing, I forget now.
Pustules.
Pustules, but there was like another word for them I used, almost like, I forget. Oh, they're on the barnacles.
Or barnacles.
Like barnacle-like things around his armpit, and as you see them, there's dark, deep holes in them that seem to be licking, little thin tongues that are sort of no bigger than a needle but seem to be loose, are sort of licking around the mouth of the barnacles as he steps forward. One of his eyes, the pupil sort of slips a bit to the left as his eye sort of begins rotating and tiny little tongues stick out from the side of his eye.
And that's the last detail I see as I slam the door behind us.
And you see Tommy is sort of, what's wrong with him? Richard, what do we do? And you turn around to the street and you see a bicycle go zooming past, and a young boy sort of chasing after it with a large barnacle on the back of his neck, the larger tongue sort of licking out of it, licking in the back of his head and sort of licking the back of his neck and sort of flipping around everywhere as this large crusty barnacle is sort of moving and postulating on his back as he sort of jogs past you, paying you no real attention.
It's the whole town. Let's go. And I grab her by the hand and I lead her into the street and I go the opposite direction of wherever the bike is going.
The bike sort of went to the south towards the water, and there's sort of, the left goes up towards the hospital, straight goes sort of towards the main town, and right is where you came from, sort of towards the outskirts towns and your buildings.
And I start to go towards the town and I stop Tommy there and I say, no, if we have to find another way. And I start running down towards the water.
Perfect. So the two of you are running towards the water, and as you do, you see and hear people sort of in their houses. It's still very quiet, very overcast. You hear laughing in the distance. You see a woman in her yard, and you see her, and she's standing over something, and she's sort of just almost as if she's cutting grass, and as you pass her, you see flecks of blood being strewn up from either side as you see the face of a young child she's just slicing away at. And as you turn the corner, you hear her laughing maniacally in the distance. You see a broken window and a body lying on the street before you as you turn the corner and stop. And as it turns towards you, you see that its eyes are covered in barnacles, its mouth filled with the barnacles, the little tongues, multiple of them all flicking around as you see it sort of driving, and a large barnacle on its back, almost like a shell, as it turns towards you and begins climbing towards you, leaving a streak of blood and sort of ooze like a slug as it starts moving across the cobblestone streets towards you, as Tommy just screams in your ear.
And I grab her hand and I give the creature a wide berth as I continue down the hill.
Yeah, and you keep moving
streets
down the hill, and as you do, you see it like a young boy clamoring, asking for his friends to help him up a large garden wall, and you see another creature sort of covered in these little tendrils, this time all kind of sprouting from underneath his head, all licking out, and as you and Tommy pass, he sort of sticks his head onto the leg, and the tendrils stick into his leg and veins and sort of begin writhing inside of him and popping the veins as he screams, and the blood starts painting the street before you as they pull him up and separating the leg from his joints, as they pull up the remainder of their friend, and the creature just gnawing at this leg as it pulls it down from its forehead, as it sort of looks at you as you run by, and it sort of takes a half step towards you.
And I just continue plowing down the hill. And as we're running, I turn to Tommy and I say, The docks! Which way to the docks?
And she says, this way! And she sort of pulls you off to a side street just in the nick of time as a small car sort of zips past and rams into a stone wall. Again, a man walks out, the tendrils licking from his nose. He starts screaming as his wife sort of like pulls off of him a big hunk of flesh, and she sort of shows her teeth, which all look like the mollusks and the sort of the barnacles, as she sort of smiles and laughs maniacally into the air. And now you smell the burning fire on the hillside, and you hear the laughter all around as Tommy and you begin working through alleyways and the people start filling the streets. The two of you slip in behind sort of a garage area, and you're maybe 50 feet from the docks.
And I take a moment to catch my breath and take in our surroundings. So we're at like a garage area. Do we see any of these creatures around?
Yeah, they look like they're moving past you on the main street. There's a few sort of walking around the dock. It still seems like they're like sort of transforming along them and just laughing and throwing up. And
okay, do you see a boat? Is it like a rowboat or anything with a paddle?
And she sort of is in a huddle on the floor crying. Richard, what happened? What's wrong? What's wrong with my...
Do you see a boat?
I don't see anything. No, it's too dark. And you can barely see yourself, but it does look like there's a boat on the end of the dock.
Okay, we need to get out there. We need to get... It's the only way we'll be able to breathe. We've got to get out on the water.
We need a distraction. There's too many between us. And as you can see, there are a few sort of walking around the dock.
Okay. A distraction. And I'm going to start looking around. What sort of objects do I have at my disposal? Can I do a logic roll?
Sure. Are you looking for anything in particular? Ooh.
I got a 1. So anything that's going to make noise or anything that's going to draw them away?
Sure. I mean, yeah, there's a pretty large gas tank next to the to the area. I mean, it's a pretty standard dock, so anything that you think that you'd see would probably be there.
Okay, what do you find at a dock? Nets. There's a net, a big fishing net with the weights.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to be way too hard to figure out. There's an oar.
Yeah, there's a few oars.
I grab the oar, replacing my my mop with it, and there is also...
Can you ask the community if you need help?
Yes, I need help.
Ask the community.
Oh, community! What else is there? What is there at this dock? There's my cell phone. Ooh. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, so I look at my cell phone,
mm-hmm.
and I see it's got 5% life left.
Because you never charged it.
I never charged it. But I turn to Tommy, and I say, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. And I scroll through to the video that I took yesterday,
mm-hmm.
where you can hear all of the people talking and all of that, like, jibber jabber.
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to turn up the volume all the way,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to get ready. And as soon as I'm in position, I'm going to hit play, slide it across the road in a direction where hopefully it'll not be in our way, and see what happens.
Amazing. So you do that, and you take the phone and you press play and you slide it, and it skids across, and just as it does, you see all of the people following it, and there was one right next to the garage sort of door hidden, and it walks out, and the phone actually slides down the street and then off to a small little alleyway and bounces down a set of steps where they all start culminating, giving you a clear shot towards the docks.
Go! And I grab Tommy by the hand and start running her down through the open area towards the end of the dock.
Perfect. And you start moving, and as you do, the things sort of look at you and start laughing maniacally and begin walking towards you as the two of you sort of are running to the end of the dock. And as you see the boat in sight, you see one old fisherman sort of stand up right in front of the boat, and he's sort of scratching his head, and the two of you stop for a second. As he's scratching, he's like and from the back of his head you see him grabbing either side of this large barnacle with a hole in the center and this tongue that's flicking wildly, and he tears it, and as he splits it open, tearing his skin and skull, he reveals his sort of flesh all being torn off, and you see all of these tendrils all licking out of his skull. Each of them are sort of feeding on the flesh, all greedily eating up the blood and sinew as he tears it off and screams, and he runs towards you to attack you.
Ah! And I run towards him, not even thinking of it, with my oar wielded high, and I bring it around to swing it into his head.
Give me a 1 die for dexterity attack, 1 because you have the paddle, and 1 because it's negative. Okay, and so you know what? Jeff is giving you XP apparently, so you can add a 3rd die.
Add a die. Okay, here we go.
3 dice, 1 negative.
Jeff, thank you, Jeff,
for the XP die. Yeah, Jeff M.
Jeff M. Well, thank you very much, Jeff. All right, here we go. So 3 plus and 1 neg. Oh, okay, so 2 positives, 1 negative.
Nice. So, let's do it this way. You kill this thing, or at least you knock it off the dock into the water, which makes more sense. However, what happens is... describe how that happens, actually. Let's do that.
Okay, so I see it running towards me, and without a moment's hesitation, I drop Tomi's hand, wield the paddle in both, and run towards it, not even hearing myself scream as I bring it around with a resounding thunk on the old man's head, and he wobbles to the side, and he's kind of just barely hanging on with 1 foot as just the momentum slowly, gradually carries him over.
Well, as he's falling, he grabs out, and he does grab Tomi's hand for a second, and she sort of falls forward, and just as about she's to go over, but you grab onto her, and she sort of falls back onto the dock in your arms as he splashes into the water. And as the two of you look down at him in the water, all the little worm tendrils attached to his skull are going wild, and his body becomes bloated and begins splitting down the sternum, separating from the skin and revealing this large sort of tentacle underneath him as he starts just sort of like becoming this grotesque monster. It's just writhing in the water and it begins sinking below as you have a clear shot towards the boat.
And I, without, just out of instinct, I look down at Tomi's arm.
Give me a logic roll.
Success.
Yeah, there's no cut on her arm.
No cut.
Doesn't
any
look like
worms,
it, no.
Any danglies?
Doesn't look like from the arm, no.
Okay. And so I heave. And I grab her arm. And I inspect it closer.
Okay. And she's like, What are you doing?
Just give me a second. And I look at the arm, and I failed that one.
Yeah, you think she looks totally fine.
Okay. So I say, all right, get in, as I see the smiling townsfolk getting on the dock.
They're all sort of walking, their tentacles all flipping out of their heads now. And Colin spent XP to make sure that the boat has an engine and gas to start it, which is very kind.
Thank you, Colin.
So he can do that for sure. Thank you, Colin. Sparrowhawk wants to spend XP to make sure the chick isn't infected so that she can't infect Richard. No, I'm not going to allow that. I'm not saying whether she's infected or not, but that changes too much to the game. But I'll allow the boat thing because that's fair.
So that was one from Colin and one from John M. Originally,
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Great.
So you get into the boat and you fire it up, and it roars to life just as a few people are coming to the bottom of the dock, sort of writhing, and you start it up as the two of you begin tearing away.
So we get out into the bay, a safe distance away, and we can see the. What time of day is it? It's daytime, right?
It's daytime. Yeah, it's probably like 10. It's just so overcast.
Oh, I see. Okay, but we can can we see the hulking creature on the beach still?
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah. Okay, so we can see that as just like cinematically, we're going out and we can see this creature in the background rotting away on the beach. It's kind of deflated now, and we get a safe enough distance away until the town is just a small speck, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turn off the engine. And I just listen to the sound of the waves hitting the boat.
And you see... No, go ahead.
Oh, and I actually open my eyes. I breathe in the salty air. And I realize I'm not as afraid now that I'm out here. That fear of the ocean has given way to immense peace.
And as you realize that, Tommy is sort of in the corner, just crouched back and forth, rocking, crying, as you see sort of smoke and fire rising from the town that you just left.
We're safe. We made it, Tommy. We made it. Hey. You did good. I'm sorry about your town.
And she's just fixated on the shore.
Hey, it's
What is that? What do you think that is?
What we just witnessed?
No, that. And she points towards the grotesque creature.
I think it's something that is a lot more ancient than we are. It's been here a lot longer.
Do you think it's the only one? And as she says that, the boat moves.
That was a strong wave.
And you feel something hit the hull from underneath. Boom.
Hey. Come here.
And she walks over to you and she sort of holds you. I don't know if we're safe.
Yeah. You're with me. I'm with you. That's all that matters.
And she cries for a moment, then looks up to you and starts kissing you. And she makes a move on you. Do you accept?
It'd be really hard in a boat.
Not on this boat, and she seems pretty eager.
You know what? Yeah, I accept.
I think I probably would too. And the two of you make love. It's sort of I think it's the first time we've ever had sex in an Invictus
This is the
stream
first time
game.
we've had sex in the Invictus stream. Me and you.
I think this is the first time anyone's had sex in the Invictus stream. I don't remember ever.
Well, on camera.
On camera, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Brandy Jack got up to some stuff.
Oh,
in that,
definitely.
first episode, yeah.
And the two of you make love. It's sort of like obviously in the moment, taken away by emotion type thing. And she's sort of afterwards she's sad, but the boat has stayed the same, and you sort of get back dressed, and she says, "Well, what do we do now, Richard?" And she's like holding your hand.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of thought that was gonna be the end. That thing that was hitting the boat. Let's just drive.
And so you fire up the engine. Where do you head to?
We go north along the coast, always keeping it to our port side, and continue on, I mean, until we run out of gas.
Yeah. And as you sort of run out of gas, you come across a small town, and Tommy sort of perks up and says, I know this town.
No, hold on. It might, they might be infected too.
And so you sort of coast to the docks, and you see a guy waving. And as you sort of get closer, he is, but it's a warm smile. He's like, "Hi there, where are you two from?" And he sort of waves you over and like ties up your boat, and you see it's a place to sort of gas up, and there's a bunch of people pulling in nets, and it's sort of brighter here, and you see people sort of fishing, and some people looking over, and generally just going about their day.
And as the guy helps me up onto the dock, I say, Junji is... Have you heard about Junji?
No? What's wrong with Junji?
It's gone. And I say this, I whisper this to him. I say, it's gone.
It's not gone, son. It's maybe about an hour's drive down that way. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
There's a sickness moving in. Do you have a phone?
Well, yeah, of course. And he starts walking towards the thing, and then there's a few people walking up to him. He's like, "Oh, is everything all right?" And they're sort of confused for a moment. He says, "This man says Junji is gone." And they're sort of like talking. He says, "What are you talking about?" And then you hear a woman say, "Is that why all those Humvees drove by?" And he's like, What woman?" She's like, "There was the army drove through town maybe an hour ago." And they're sort of all looking confused. "Oh, everyone calm down, calm down." Turns around. "Ooh, let's get you to a phone." And over the next hour or so, it's revealed that a large group of people, presumably the army, passed through this small town on the way to Junji. And there's sort of a hubbub above town. And after a short while, you hear that Junji has been evacuated, that there was a chemical explosion, and that almost everybody in the town has died. Sort of coming through the TV and the radio reports as the two of you are standing in a bar, sort of in a new set of clothes, each holding hands, as the bar people and patrons are sort of looking amongst each other. And after the report ends, they all turn towards you. "Didn't you two come from Junji? There was a chemical explosion?"
Yeah, there was bad stuff happening, I say, and I turn to Tommy with a look that says maybe we shouldn't tell the whole story here.
And she sort of looks at you and says, "There was an explosion. They were doing some chemical mixing, and it went wrong, and we just happened to be out of town at the time." And she squeezes your hand as she says that. And the barman, sort of people are sort of satisfied by that, and they nod, and they're kind of like, "Yeah, okay." And the barman sort of waves them over and says, "Well, listen, guys, if you need a place to stay, you're welcome to have my room for a few weeks while you get settled. And he walks you upstairs and lets you into one of the spare bedrooms. And he says, here's some clothes that my wife had, and here's a few beds for you guys, and I'll help you out wherever I can. I can't imagine what you've gone through. And he leaves the two of you alone in the room to sort of take a moment.
I think it's best if people don't know the truth.
I agree.
Because, yeah?
Yeah. It doesn't matter, Richard. And she sort of stands up, tears in her eyes, and then she kneels down sort of next to you on the bed and puts her head on your lap, and she says, Richard, 7 years ago I lost the man I thought I'd spend my life with, and I didn't think I would be whole again. And then I met you. And I don't care what happened before. I only care what happens forward for the two of us. And she sort of starts crying as she holds you.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. We'll figure it out.
The next day, you head into Newtown, Ito. You sort of familiarize yourself with a bit of the locals. You decide to wake up early and grab some breakfast while Tomio is still sleeping. Tommy is still sleeping. You walk down in the corner, get 2 breakfasts and some tea, and you head back to the bar while the sort of nod to the bar owner, and you feel a sense of okayness, I suppose, like everything might be okay. And as you open the door to your room, you see that Tomi has awakened, and she has a smile on her face, a soft smile. And as she turns, her back is towards you, and she turns her head and says, Richard, I think we're pregnant. And she turns to reveal her belly, large, swollen, in the shape of a barnacle. And she smiles wild at you. And we're going to end there! Ladies and gentlemen.
I banged a monster.
Yeah, you know. She was perfectly fine. You put the parasite in her.
True.
I don't know. Someone put parasite in someone. You had to have
maybe
it.
they were both parasite. Maybe parasite genes are recessive.
It had to go that way. I could have drawn it out a little longer, but we knew where it was going to end up. I feel like a little bit cleaner, right? You know what I mean? We could have added another 20 minutes where it's like, you grow old, and it's like, it's just kind of cool to be like, you know.
Yeah.
Now let's look at the comparison to the thing that drifted ashore, because this is basically the story. This is pretty funny, actually, because you have never read this, right?
I have never read this. Open original.
Oops.
Yeah, that was great. That was really cool.
Thank you.
I could see you like scrolling down at times.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I can't. Do you have the actual link to it?
Yeah. Here you go. I was trying to use quotes directly from the from it. So here I've put it here anyway. Right. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So this is the thing that drifted ashore. So the corpse of a gigantic creature crashed on a certain shore in the Pacific Ocean. So here's the creature. Yes. If I did an apt description, and then here's the boy who's sort of finding it. By the time I got to the beach, there were many onlookers. Beached whale type thing. It doesn't look like a whale. And then he talks about his fear of the ocean and what brought it on, which I gave you free rein to do. And then he fears of himself like floating in the abyss with these grotesque creatures. They talk about, this was directly from it, perhaps those parts emitted light like an anglerfish. Please have a look at a lot of curious protuberances inside the body. What do you suppose they are? Just imagining it sends chills down my spine. I did this. It's true. It's a creature with rare skin. It might have been more cleanly transparent when it was still alive. Then a girl faints, and he talks to her. She talks about her fiance being gone 7 years. that she fears for him, that she has similar dreams. And then these are all directly from it too. Hey, there's something inside. It's true. It's stomach. I can see the other side of its transparent skin, and it's people. This is what it looks like inside. The people. And then they cut it open, and all the fucking people come like pouring out. And then they're alive. They're alive. They're moving. And like they have like long fingers and shit. And she thinks she sees her fiance. And they all like freak out. They're like, "Ugh," type thing. And then it just ends abruptly. Basically just says that they were it sort of ends like an afterthought. It's sort of like, and they were all mentally ill. Like they were all had to experience this horror in the mind of, or seeing it through the creature's belly. But I was like, man, that's literally when Joe and I read it, I was like, that's the great beginning to an end of the world scenario. And then the zombie starts. But I'm like, but to just switch to end of the world makes it feel less horror. Like a zombie. Yeah, so I was like, I want to just, and then I read a bunch of Ito, and I was like, okay, I want to continue the sort of body horror that he has, which is so gross, and like accentuate that across all the things. So this was a Junji Ito inspired RPG, which I think based on how much I've read of him, was really successful to illustrate how grotesque his horror can be.
Totally, yeah.
Because
I was a very strong image. Now, someone posted another visual or image under what you posted with like all the worms.
That's from another one of his stories called Glycerin, and that's about a glycerin. That's all. Okay. Those are all pimples being popped. Oh, it's really fucking gross. I really hate that story. There's also another one called The Enigma of the Something Fault, some fault, which is creepy as well. But there's a couple really good ones he's done. I'm reading right now one called Uzumaki, which is just about it's like, I bought the novel, or it's like a graphic novel. It's just about a town obsessed with spirals. It's really weird. But he's a pretty fucking cool author, Junji Ito. If anyone has not seen
Junji Ito,
yeah, just in case you don't know,
the town was called Junji,
and the second one was called Ito. Like it was all meant to be, and all the names, every name from this game was taken from his stories.
Oh, very cool.
I kind of
thought. I like how it worked out. I like the ending, and the ending was like a bit of a twist, and I think like it's interesting too because my seed. My sperm is the what's it called?
Well, someone said the dreamers are the carriers, which I think is a good idea too.
The dreamers are the carriers. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea because that works. Like the ocean is oxygen to me, and I've been denying it my whole life. I've been denying this like side of myself, which is why actually I did say I had a girlfriend. But
whatever. Maybe the thing was you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff like in his stuff where you're like, oh, there's this one that there's just like a lot of his stuff is so crazy. Like there's this one where there's just these giant floating fucking heads that like come down and like kill you, and they're like your own head. Like I'd see a giant head of Harlan come down and like strangle me, and then it kills me. You know what I mean? Like they're just weird. Like they're just a lot of. But this is the prelude, because if this was successful, I really, really, really want to do a 2 or 3 parter with you and Joe based on one of his stories that I really enjoyed. So if you like Junji Ito, don't read anymore. Nothing longer than the one shots. You can read all the one shots, but don't read anything longer if you're a fan and you want to be surprised, and for you guys to play it, because I have a really cool one based on one of his shorts that I want to do.
Well, Joe has read it, right?
No, I told her not to. When I read it, I was like, nice. "Oh, don't read this one. I'm gonna basically do it in an RPG format.
Sweet.
Twist some things to make it our own. Like this was twisted to do our own, but it's gonna be a 2 or 3 parter for you two. I'm actually really excited for it.
Cool.
I was more excited for that. I was gonna do that tonight, but I was like, oh, but it needs a few parts, and I'm like, and Joe should really play it because there's like a really cool girl part in it, and I want it to be like they're all saying please. So if you guys really like this, then we'll do it again.
Yeah.
And there's something really horrific about this kind of horror that always makes me uncomfortable too.
Oh yeah, some of your descriptions of the like barnacles like over the eyes and like scratching open their flesh. And
so gross.
Like having such an itch. That's like taking that like, very human experience of scratching and taking it to the absolute extreme.
Oh.
You know, kind of reminds me of like Black Swan when she like bites that.
Hangnail or whatever.
That's yeah.
There's a
That
lot
same
of like
sort of body horror.
Yeah, there's a lot of gross body horror. A lot of his stories are like based on a single concept that gets like pushed and pushed and pushed. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff, like uncomfortable things. So yeah, there's a couple really fucking gross ones. Anyway, Endgame XP. What are we gonna do for Endgame XP?
Yeah.
You pick. Who helped you?
Oh boy, who helped me? Oh, I think I'm pretty sure Dustin helped me at one point. Yeah, he did. He gave me a suggestion at the beginning.
Was it to be a nicer person? Just kidding.
Find a can of gas. No, that wasn't it.
Oh, the phone one. Whoever gave you that phone idea.
Oh, yes, it was the phone. I think he said the phone. Who said the phone?
I don't know. Whoever did though.
Yeah, whoever did. I'm going to find that. Can of gas. Pour it on. Oh, no, I can't find it right now.
Take a guess.
Anyway.
Pour it on.
I think it's... I'm going to keep looking.
I think Megan says yes, it was Dustin.
It was Dustin, eh?
So Megan says. I trust Megan.
I trust her too. Okay, yes, Dustin did say it. Your cell phone. That was the move that I did. So thank you very much, Dustin. You win Endgame XP.
And Dustin gave us the coolest fucking piñata for Halloween. So cool. We're gonna
bust that open with Henry
on No, we're gonna do it Sunday when everyone's here to play AL.
Oh, nice. Sick.
It's for adults. It's not for kids candy. This is adult candy, okay?
Right, yes.
I don't know where we're going to do it, though. It's kind of cold out. I guess we could do it in the garage.
Ugh. I don't trust that garage yet. No, I feel like I'm going to get a Parasite.
I got to power wash it. Where the hell could we bust that thing? The driveway?
You bust it in your house somewhere?
But where we got to hang it somewhere. I don't know.
On a light.
Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with us tonight. Glad you had fun. We had a great time. Tip your waitresses. And we will see you next Wednesday for Halloween game. Thank you so much. As my very good friend Justin always likes to say,
don't sleep with monsters. Happy Halloween.
Monsters, kids.